Let me start with the part you actually care about. Yes, I cheated on my husband with my boss in a hotel in Chicago. Yes, I got the promotion. And no, it did not feel glamorous when I flew back into JFK the next morning trying not to cry in the lift on FDR Drive. We were in River North, 2 blocks from the Chicago River, at this rooftop bar that everyone in the office worships because the view is insane. I'm from Hell's Kitchen. I've seen views. But fine, the skyline was cute. It was just me and him by the end of the night. Everyone else had peeled off to their rooms at the Hyatt on Wacker, the responsible married people. Me? I was still on my 3rd overpriced cocktail, laughing too hard at my married boss's jokes. "I'm putting in your name for senior manager next quarter," he said, fingers tapping his empty glass. "But you know how these things go. Optics, relationships, FaceTime. You know how that sounds at midnight, when you're slightly buzzed, staring at a city that isn't yours. It sounded like a door I could kick open if I just pushed a tiny bit harder. I told myself it was still business when he suggested one more drink back at the hotel bar. I told myself it was still business when his hand brushed the small of my back in the elevator. I told myself it was still business when he said, very quietly, "You know, I trust you more than anyone else on the New York team. You can hear the brakes screaming in your own head and still keep driving. Fade to black there. You can fill in the part I'm not going to act out for you. Just know this. Whatever you're picturing probably looks better than the actual mess of 2 tired adults making a horrible decision under bad hotel lighting. New York City, Chelsea, 8 months earlier. Before Chicago, I was the Pinterest version of myself. I'm Emily, 31, living in a 1-bedroom walk-up in Chelsea, between 8th and 9th Ave, with my husband Luke. We did everything the right New York way. Tiny wedding in a Brooklyn warehouse, Sunday walks on the High Line, Trader Joe's runs on 6th Ave where we pretended the line wasn't a nightmare. Luke works in IT for a finance firm in Midtown, the kind of guy who actually reads the instructions that come with IKEA furniture. He makes spreadsheets for fun. His idea of being wild is taking a 6 a.m. flight instead of a 9 a.m. one. Me? I work in marketing at a big agency on Madison Avenue. Think open office, neon sign on the wall, kombucha on tap, all that fake creative capitalist nonsense. We were the couple people said number goals about on Instagram. Matching mugs, cute subway selfies, cheesy photos in Central Park by Bethesda Fountain. If you scrolled my feed, you'd think I was living some Manhattan rom-com. The problem is, no one posts the part where you start getting bored of your own life. Office Madison Ave, 3 months before Chicago. My boss, Jason, is 42, tall, dad handsome, very LinkedIn core. Married, 2 kids in Brooklyn, lives somewhere in Park Slope, with exposed brick and a brownstone stoop, I'm sure. It didn't start with flirting. That's the worst part. It started with work. He'd swing by my desk overlooking Madison, lean on the partition and ask, "You got a sec?" That line, by the way, should be studied. "You got a sec?" is never just a sec. I became his go-to firefighter. Emergency decks, last-minute client calls, just hop into this Zoom moments. I liked it. I liked being the one he trusted. I liked that in meetings, he'd look at me first when a client asked a hard question. One night, we stayed late finishing a pitch for a Soho fashion brand. Everyone else had gone. The cleaning crew was vacuuming near the glass windows while the Chrysler building blinked in the distance. "You really saved us on this," he said, spinning slowly in his chair. "You ever think about running your own team?" "Sure," I said, joking. "But they don't really give those to girls from Ohio unless they're willing to bleed for it." He laughed. "You've earned more than most of the guys anyway. That tiny hit of validation. That's the first drink. No glass. Just pure. When someone in power keeps handing you little gold stars, you start rearranging your morals to reach for them faster." Our apartment, Chelsea, 2 weeks before Chicago. On a rainy Thursday night, Luke made pasta and poured me wine at our wobbly West Elm knockoff table. "You've been working late a lot," he said, topping up my glass. "Everything okay?" "Big pitch," I said. "Chicago trip coming up. Jason wants me there." "That's great," he said. "He clearly believes in you." He had this proud look on his face, like me going to Chicago was our shared achievement. I looked at him across the table, in his soft grey t-shirt, hair still damp from the shower, and I felt tired, not of him. Tired of being safe, tired of walking the same blocks in Chelsea, taking the same one train, having the same conversations about meal prep and 401 Ks. I kissed him that night, slow, trying to push the guilt down before it even existed. I told myself I was overthinking, that ambition and marriage could live in the same apartment. When he said, "Send me pictures from Chicago," I smiled and said, "Of course." I didn't send him a single one. Back in NYC, the Monday after. If you've never taken a flight home after doing something that nukes your self-respect, it feels like being trapped in a metal confession booth at 30,000 feet. I landed at LaGuardia, put on sunglasses like I was famous, instead of just ashamed, and took a lift back to Chelsea. The city looked the same. Vendors on 34th, people honking for no reason, tourists blocking the sidewalk. Inside my chest, everything was rearranged. Luke hugged me at the door. I froze for half a second, then overcompensated, burying my face in his neck. "How was it?" he asked. "Did you crush it?" "We nailed the pitch," I said. Not a lie, just not the one he thought I meant. I told myself I'd never let it happen again. If this was a movie, that would be the turning point. Roll credits, lesson learned. Real life is messier. A week later, Jason called me into a tiny conference room, closed the glass door, and slid a folder across the table. "Congrats," he said. "Senior marketing manager. Effective next month. Pay bump, title bump, you earned it." The way he said "earned it" made my stomach twist. Did he mean my years of campaigns, or the one bad night in Chicago? I don't actually know. That's the part that keeps me up now. I shook his hand. Very normal. Very HR approved. There was this thin electric line under it that we both pretended not to feel. Midtown, 6th Ave, 3 months later. If the story ended there, you'd probably already be writing your comment. She ruined her marriage for a promotion. She's trash. He abused his power. Or my personal favorite, both of them are the problem. But the universe wasn't done turning the knife. 3 months after my promotion, Luke came home grinning like he'd just found rent-controlled heaven. "Guess who landed a new job?" he said. "Senior systems engineer. Better pay, better hours, closer to home." I screamed and hugged him until he said the company name, my agency's sister firm, same holding group, same building on 6th Avenue, different floor. Small world, right? He laughed. I laughed too, but it came out wrong, like a cough. Fast forward 2 more months. I'm at the office, fixing a deck for a client in Tribeca, when I get a text from Luke. "Hey, funny thing, my new director wants to intro me to someone in your org, guy named Jason. You know him?" I swear the room tilted. My hands went cold on the keyboard. I typed back, "Yeah, he's my boss. Small world, lol." He sent a selfie from the lobby. There's Luke, in his blue button-up, standing under our giant neon logo on Madison. A second later, Jason walks into the frame, smiling, hand out. In that one photo, the 2 men who define my life shook hands on 6th Ave, 22 floors below me, with absolutely no idea what else connected them. Now my husband works under my ex-secret. They have weekly check-ins. They talk about cross-team synergy over coffee in the cafeteria. You want to know what hell looks like? It's watching Outlook auto-complete your husband's name in the same email group as the man you betrayed him with. Chelsea, 1:17 a.m. Listening to sirens on 9th Ave. I haven't told anyone this. Not my therapist. Not my best friend in Brooklyn. Definitely not Luke. You are the first one I'm saying it to, out loud, even if it's through a screen. Do I still have feelings for Jason? No. If anything, I flinch when I hear his footsteps behind me at the office. That night in Chicago feels like a stain I can't fully scrub. Do I love Luke? Yes. In a deep, boring, quiet way. In a share an umbrella on 23rd Street in the rain way. In a split a slice from Joe's on Carmine at midnight way. He's home. So why don't I just tell him? Rip the Band-Aid off, blow up our little Chelsea life, and let him choose. Because I know him. He's not the "let's work through it" type. He's the pack a bag and move to Queens and never speak to you again type. And I'm a coward who doesn't want to lose her husband, her job, and her rent-stabilized apartment in one hit. I walk past couples in the West Village holding hands, and I wonder how many of them have their own Chicago nights, their own hallway moments they never talk about. So here's my confession. New York style. Messy, a little selfish, very crowded. I cheated on my husband with my boss to get a promotion. Then my husband ended up working under him. I got the title, the raise, the nicer laptop, the bigger clients. What I really lost was the version of myself I used to believe in when we walked down 9th Ave pretending we were the good guys.